Welcome, friends. Today I will share with you a story that will touch your heart. She was just helping her younger sister, wearing a simple uniform, never knowing that life was about to change forever. One afternoon, while she bent down to comfort a little girl in a yellow dress holding a small toy elephant, the child suddenly looked into her eyes and whispered with innocence, "Mommy!" The world seemed to stop. The girl's voice carried so much love and longing that even her father, the powerful CEO standing nearby, was left speechless. Tears welled up in his eyes as he watched his daughter find the warmth of a mother she had lost. The young woman, shocked and trembling, felt the little girl's tiny hands clutch her own. She wanted to speak, but her voice broke into silent tears. In that single moment, the walls of status, wealth, and pride all melted away. What remained was pure love, a bond that no one could explain, a connection born from kindness and compassion. The father, moved beyond words, whispered softly, "Maybe destiny chose you to heal her heart." This was no longer about a simple job or helping her sister. It became a journey of love, family, and second chances. Sometimes fate writes stories more powerful than anything we can imagine. Dear friends, if this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. Stay connected with us on Soul of Kindness. Welcome, friends. Today I bring you another part of this touching story. After the little girl called her mommy, silence spread around them. The young woman froze, her heart pounding, unsure how to respond. She had only stepped in to help her sister for a short while, never expecting her life to be changed by a single word. The girl's innocent eyes sparkled with tears as she reached out again, clinging to the woman's hand. "Mommy, don't leave me," she whispered softly, her voice breaking with fear of losing that warmth. The young woman's heart shattered. She wanted to correct her, to explain, but when she saw the child's trembling lips and the loneliness in her eyes, she could not. Instead, she bent down and hugged her tightly. The CEO, a man known for his strength and authority, felt his chest grow heavy. For years, he had hidden his pain behind power and success, raising his daughter alone after his wife's passing. But now, standing there, he witnessed something he had prayed for in silence, his daughter smiling again, holding on to someone with the love she had long lost. The woman looked up at him with tears streaming down her cheeks, whispering, "I never meant to take her mother's place. I was only helping." But the CEO shook his head gently, his own eyes moist. "You don't understand," he said in a trembling voice. "She hasn't called anyone mommy since her mother passed away. Today, for the first time, she feels whole again." The air grew heavy with emotion. The little girl squeezed both of their hands together, as if binding them with invisible threads of love. And in that moment, none of them thought about social status, money, or roles. It was just a broken family and the unexpected love that healed them. Friends, life often surprises us in the most beautiful ways. Sometimes the people we meet by accident are actually the ones sent by destiny to heal our wounds and rewrite our stories. If this moment touched your heart, please like, subscribe, comment, and share so that more souls can feel this message. Stay connected with Soul of Kindness. Welcome, friends. We're back with a continuation of this heartwarming journey, one that will leave a mark on your soul. Days passed since that fateful moment when the little girl had called her mommy. The young woman, still overwhelmed by the encounter, found herself thinking about it every day. She never imagined that a simple act of kindness would draw her so close to a little girl who had lost everything. One afternoon, the girl was waiting for her, sitting by the garden, clutching her toy elephant. The CEO, watching from a distance, saw how the woman had slowly become more than a caretaker. She had become a refuge for his daughter. His heart ached as he realized that he had never been able to offer his daughter the tenderness, the warmth, and the unconditional love that this woman was now giving her. He walked up to her, his voice low and filled with gratitude. "You've done more than I ever could. My daughter, she's found a part of herself that I never thought she'd recover." The woman looked up at him, her eyes filled with emotion, but she couldn't find words. She only smiled and walked over to the little girl kneeling beside her. "You're so brave," she whispered, brushing the girl's hair out of her face. The child looked up, her face bright with the same innocence she had lost for so long. "Will you stay with me forever?" she asked in the softest voice. The young woman felt her heart shatter once more. She didn't know the answer. She had come into their lives by accident to help her sister. But now she realized she wasn't just helping. She was becoming a mother in her own right. The CEO watched the scene unfold, his heart heavy with emotion. He had spent so many years trying to fill the emptiness left by his wife's passing. But it was clear now that no amount of money or success could fix the pain. It was love, the genuine, unspoken love between his daughter and this woman, that was finally healing them both. And in that moment, the man knew they were meant to be together, in some way for life. "Will you be her mother?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. The woman froze. It wasn't an easy question, but she could see the hope in the little girl's eyes, and she couldn't deny the feeling stirring inside her heart. "I don't know," she said, her voice trembling. "But I will love her always." That was all it took. The simple yet profound commitment to love. And that's when the world seemed to shift. The woman wasn't just helping a family anymore. She was becoming a part of it, a mother, a guide, a protector. Friends, life has a way of leading us where we need to be, even if we don't understand it at first. Sometimes the most unexpected journeys bring the deepest bonds of love. If this part of the story moved you, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Let's spread the love and stay connected with Soul of Kindness. Welcome, friends, the journey continues, and this part of the story will tug at your heartstrings in ways you might not expect. It had been weeks since the young woman had embraced her new role, not just as a caretaker, but as something deeper. She had grown attached to the little girl, a bond so strong. It felt like they had known each other forever. But with every moment of love came a storm of doubts, fears, and unspoken struggles. One evening, after a long day of playing outside, the little girl sat quietly by the window, staring out at the setting sun. Her toy elephant, once her constant companion, lay abandoned on the floor. The woman noticed the silence, the shift in her usual happy demeanor. Kneeling beside her, she gently asked, "What's wrong, sweetheart?" The girl didn't answer at first, just looked up with big, sad eyes. "I don't want you to leave," she finally whispered, her voice shaking. The woman's heart twisted. "I'm not going anywhere," she reassured, holding her tightly. But even as the words left her lips, she wondered if she could keep that promise. It wasn't long after that the CEO began to notice the weight on her shoulders. He had watched his daughter open up, and his heart swelled with gratitude. But he also saw the exhaustion in the young woman's eyes. The pressure of taking on so much had started to affect her. She was giving everything to them, her time, her love, her energy, and yet she still felt like she wasn't enough. One night, after the little girl had fallen asleep, the CEO approached her, his expression more serious than usual. "You've given everything for her, but I see the toll it's taking on you," he said, his voice gentle but firm. "You don't have to carry this burden alone." Tears filled the woman's eyes as she looked at him. "But I can't leave her. She needs me." The CEO, for the first time, took a step forward, his face softening. "She needs us both," he said. "But you also need to take care of yourself. You've done more than enough, but I can see it's wearing you down." For the first time in a long while, the young woman allowed herself to cry. She had been so focused on being the perfect mother figure. She had forgotten about herself. She had given so much that she had almost lost who she was in the process. But in that moment, she realized something. Love was not just about giving endlessly. It was also about taking time to heal, to replenish, and to share the load. The CEO's words were a lifeline, a reminder that they were a family now. And families share everything, the joy, the pain, and the responsibilities. The little girl, hearing the sound of her mother crying, woke up and rushed to her side, hugging her tightly. "Don't cry, Mommy, I need you. Always," she said, her voice full. Friends, this story shows us that no matter how tough life gets, love can overcome anything. If this part touched you, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. Stay connected with Soul of Kindness. Welcome, friends. This is the final chapter of the journey that has touched our hearts deeply. But before I share this last part, I want you to remember something. Love is not always easy, but it's the most powerful force in the world. The days that followed were a blend of joy and struggle. The young woman had found her place in this new family, but the weight of her new role still pressed down on her. Every time she looked into the little girl's eyes, a fierce love bloomed in her heart, but so did a deep fear of not being enough, fear of losing herself again. One night, as the young woman stood by the window, watching the rain pour down, the CEO came up behind her quietly. He had seen the tiredness in her eyes, the quiet moments of doubt, and he knew something needed to change. "You're carrying too much. You know." His voice was gentle but filled with concern. The young woman turned to him, her heart heavy. "I want to be everything for her, for both of you. But sometimes I don't know if I'm doing enough. I'm scared that one day she'll need someone else, and I'll fail her." The CEO stepped closer, his presence comforting and warm. He placed his hand on her shoulder, his voice full of compassion. "You can't be everything, and that's okay. What matters is that you love her, that we all love her. That's what she needs. You're not alone in this." For a moment, the young woman just stood there, breathing in the comfort of his words. She had been so afraid of not being the perfect mother figure. But in reality, love didn't demand perfection. It only asked for presence. And for the first time, she allowed herself to believe that she didn't have to do it all alone. But the real turning point came when the little girl, who had grown so attached, looked up at her one evening with wide eyes and asked, "Are you my real mommy now?" The question hit her like a wave, and for a moment she couldn't breathe. Was she ready for this? Could she truly step into the role of mother, not just in title, but in heart? The CEO, watching from across the room, walked up to the young woman and placed his hand on her back. "She's already chosen you. And so have I." The young woman knelt down, looking into the little girl's eyes. She smiled softly, her own heart swelling with emotion. "I don't know if I'm your real mommy, but I will love you with everything I have. I will be here for you always." The girl's face lit up with joy, her little hands wrapping around the young woman's neck in the tightest hug. "I love you, mommy." And in that moment, the world stood still. The fears, the doubts, the struggles, they all faded away. This little girl, with all her innocence and trust, had given her the greatest. Friends, remember, family is built not just by blood, but by choice, by love, and by the strength to walk through life together. If this story touched your heart, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Stay connected with Soul of Kindness.